Should I do one of these? Should I pull a Lane Kiffin? Well, it was great to get a win. First thing I want to do is compliment our student section. In my 3 years or 2 years and one game, that was the best I've ever seen pregame. They were into it. They were in their seats early, and I guarantee you it matters to our football players. You know, when they come out of the tunnel and they feel that support behind them, and they look down to the left from our sideline and they see the student section full. That's a big deal for us. So. Just want to make sure that we acknowledge that. It's you know, that's they're classmates. So fantastic. Appreciate it very much. And I know that Neil and everyone else had a lot to do with that, just promoting this game, and Dom and everybody. So it's a big deal for us. But it was good to get a win. I like the way we started, especially on offense. You know, we came out and we were able to get some big plays out of players that we're depending on to make big plays as this season goes on. I thought Joe did a really nice job. We ran the ball well. You can see that we've got some playmakers that can go do some things. Defensively, we're still a work in progress. We still got to become a better tackling football team. I think that we're still adapting to the scheme a little bit, but we have to make huge progress, and we have to make it like right now. Like right now, we can't come in and say that anymore. And I know our guys will work towards doing that. We've got to make field goals. You know, we have tons of confidence in Chris. I think Chris is a really good kicker. I think the wind pushed that one. So, you know, that's something that we've got to do. We've got to put points on the board when we call on Chris to do that, and I'm confident that he'll do that. My disappointment would be the second half after the last touchdown. I felt like we got a little bit complacent when we put some young guys in, and we can't operate that way. There's going to come a time this year when we're going to count on young guys to win a game, and they have to be able to step in and play at the same level of intensity and passion and emotion and execution level that the starters are playing at. And so we'll work hard on that. But that being said, it was good to get those guys some time, and so that they can see that and they can learn from it. And they, you know, getting Tucker some snaps and getting Cole some snaps. I would have loved to have gotten some stops on defense. We could have gotten those guys more snaps, which is what we needed. But I also didn't want to take Joe out of the game until we got a second half touchdown. So that was the thinking there. But all in all, we'll take the win. We've got a great test this week. It's been quite a while since this program has gone on the road and beat a power conference team, and it's going to be a really tough task at Duke. They're 2-0. They're a good team. They've got a quarterback who transferred from Texas who's a really good player, so it's going to be a great challenge. And then I also just want to end by, you know, paying my respects to Merrimack and the way that they played and the physicality with which they played with and the way that they kept fighting even when the score got a little bit out of touch or out of control there. We've been in that spot before. We know what it feels like. And so ton of respect to their staff and their players for the way they continued to fight.
What did Joe do well, and what is the Nick's situation at this point?
Joe was very calm. Joe read out his progressions. Joe threw the ball with accuracy. Joe ran the ball, well, got some first downs, made some plays, got us into second and short, third and short, running the ball. So I was very pleased with his performance. Like I said, wanted to give him a couple series in the second half and see if we could get him, not to try to run up a score or anything. I don't believe in doing that, but trying to just get him, one more successful drive. So Nick's situation will be evaluated daily by our medical staff.
You got a lot of big plays. How encouraging was that to get some of those?
Well, yeah, that's what you need. When you don't have to grind it out for every touchdown. I mean, that's a great thing. When you have some guys, you can get the ball in their hand and they can go do it themselves. As a coach, you drop the perfect play, but your objective always is get the ball to your playmakers in space and then let them use their natural ability to go make some, great plays, make something great happen. And I think we saw that out of a number of players today. And we've got to build on it. We got to become consistent with it. It can't be just a 1 week wonder. It's got to be something that we continue to emphasize and get production out of.
Jelani, you alluded to it before the season, but Joe's attitude coming in, rather than maybe sulk or pout over the situation, he handled things the right way. I just want to have, if you could expand on that a little bit, just about how happy you are to see get an opportunity?
Well, in the time that I've been here, we haven't made it through 2 weeks without losing a quarterback. And Joe came in and he competed really hard, but we ended up giving the job to Nick. And at no time at all, at least in front of me or his teammates, did I ever see him pout. Did I ever see him acting it with bad body language? Did I ever hear him say anything negative? All I saw was a guy that just kept his eyes right on the target, which is I'm always going to be prepared to go in and play if called upon. And when you have guys that have that attitude and the selflessness that he showed, that permeates the team because everyone always concentrates on the quarterback decision, understandably so. He's the trigger man. And if you have a guy is going to pout, and he's going to be a locker room lawyer, and he's going to cause dissension, and you say, well, I don't know why they didn't choose me, it can pull your team apart. When you've got a guy like Joe that does just the opposite, and that's what we expected of Joe. But that's very good for your football team. I mean, he's a pro. He's a mature individual. He cares about this team. His teammates trust him, and he was ready to go. He was ready to go last week. He was ready to go today, and he'll continue to be ready to go. That's just who Joe is, and that's one of the things we love about him.
I'm just curious, what do you tell your team when you're up by like 50 points at half? What is the locker room like at that point?
I'm not one of those, hey, it's 0-0 kind of guys. I'm like, listen, we've done good things to get to this point. Let's continue to do them, and it's very objective. I'm objective, and here's the things we need to do better, That's just, the worst thing you can do as a coach is start looking at the scoreboard. The worst thing you can do as a player is start looking at the scoreboard because it's an external factor that can have an influence on the way you play, and it never should. And so if you want to be a good football team, if you want to be a good football player, if you want to be a good football coach, you worry about and you concentrate on the things you can control. And that's, we don't look at the scoreboard. And that was one of the messages, is don't look at the scoreboard. Doesn't matter. Play to our standard, regardless. We've been in a lot of those games where we're behind, right? And against some really good teams. And it's got to be the same attitude, whether you're ahead, behind, or even. You've got to play a certain brand of football, a certain style, a certain standard that you're responsible to.
And I think it was 9 different players caught a pass, 8 different players scored a touchdown.
I didn't know that, yeah.
I think it's all kind of too many to list on here. Just, what does that do for the confidence of the team when that many different people are involved?
Well,
Week that he had last week,
I felt like last week our offense wasn't terrible. I felt like defensively we weren't good, but I saw sparks on offense, things that I liked. We just didn't get enough opportunities. We didn't convert a couple third downs that could have kept the drives alive. Things, we held ourselves back. But I've had a feeling since, we came out of the portal period that we had some playmakers on offense. When you add guys like Skyler and you add guys like TJ and Azariah and Josiah, and you add guys like Mel, and you add guys like Shamar Porter, and you add guys like Darrell, and you add a guy like Nick. Those guys, we added them because we felt like they were playmakers, and they did it today. Skyler did it last week. TJ did it last week. Now we've just got to do it on a consistent basis against, really good team this week in Duke. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys watched them last night, but, really good football team. And so we can't become satisfied with today. We have to push for more. But it's nice to feel like there's depth and guys that can make plays. And I didn't even mention, Brock Montgomery, who I think is going to be a really good football player for us.
Did you feel the offensive line made progress today, and what was?
Well, they were more consistent, and their protection was good. We missed some things. We overran some things on our outside zone stuff. We're never going to be completely satisfied. You're never going to play a perfect football game. But all in all, yeah, they played with physicality, precision. They did a good job in protection. And we'll clean up the things that we didn't do well enough. But I'm sorry, I like our offensive line. Do we miss Christian Haynes and some of those guys? Yeah, but these guys that are stepping in are doing a good job, and they got a tall task this week.
Jim, is today a product of you being more talented than an FBS team, or is it you guys really went out and executed well?
Well, listen, there's levels, right? And, we have more resources than a team like Merrimack. And they do a great job there. I mean, that's a good program, right? I mean, they look coming off the bus, they look better than I thought they were physically. They play hard, they play fair, they play tough. But this program, thanks to David and Jared and what we've been able to do in the NIL space, we've been able to add some playmakers. Right? And when you have talent wins in sports. Talent is what wins. Coaching's overrated. Talent wins. And so I'm not saying coaching doesn't matter. It does. Putting those players in the right place matters. But, getting the ball to talented guys that can do things on their own where they can out-athlete a guy, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to scheme space. You're trying to scheme to get guys into space so they can just use their God-given ability or the ability they've worked on so hard their whole life to go do something special with the ball in their hands. And we've got some guys that can do that.
What do you think about what you saw from your younger quarterbacks, McDonald and Oliver? It
Yeah.
seems like they might even be thrust into a playing situation if they're Joe.
Well, I would hope not, because I don't want guys to get injured. I would like Nick to come back healthy. I'd like Joe to stay healthy. But I think it's important to get those guys some plays, some snaps. Like I said, I would have loved to get them more turns, more snaps. We didn't get off the field on defense when we needed to get off the field on defense to give them more snaps. They need to play through some mistakes. They need to understand, the speed of the game. They've got a lot of learning to do, and the only way that they're really going to increase their level of performance is to play. So, I would say if there was one thing that was disappointing to me, and there's several, and I mentioned a couple, but I wanted to get those guys more snaps. I wanted to get them more snaps, which was in conflict with wanting to get Joe another successful drive coming out in the second half. And so, unfortunately, we just didn't get off the field and give them enough, and we didn't stay on the field either on offense in order to get them snaps.
Did you come out relatively healthy, or does Josiah get hurt?
Josiah took a shot. He's good now. Well, our doctors will decide, where he is and if he's in the protocol or not. Javarius Sims, slight groin. Hopefully we get guys like Malik back this week. Hopefully we get Price back this week. We need those guys back. But I think we came out of it fairly healthy. You rarely come out of any game totally healthy. It's a violent sport.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you
thanks,
very much,
everyone.
Coach.
Appreciate
Get
you.
some players in here very quick.
Explosive plays is a big part of my game.
How big was it for you guys to come back and just get rid of last week's performance and put something good out there?
Yeah, it was huge. Last Saturday left a bad taste in our mouths. Nobody wants to ever get beat like that. So, coming out, started with a week of practice, though, a week of preparation and just going to work, not worrying about anything else and just worrying about Merrimack. And I think we showed that on Saturday when we came out fast.
Skyler, you've been around a lot of quarterbacks. When a quarterback loses the starting job like he did, like Joe did, but has a good attitude, keeps himself ready to play, is ready to play when called upon, how much do teammates look at that and have a certain respect, admiration for that?
Oh, no, we respected a bunch because, at any given point, anybody could go down. So everybody's got to be ready. So having Joe, who knows the offense, knows what he's doing back there, he's calm, cool, collected. So, you don't really have any problems with him behind center. And I think, Nick did a great job today just being on the sideline, being there for guys. So, I think both of those guys are doing a great job.
To get a comfortable win, you obviously coming off a tough loss and everything.
Absolutely, it's good to get this win. We got to shake back from last week. Obviously, as you guys know, it's a tough one. But it's good to win at home in front of our fans to build that trust back with everybody at the rent. So we're just looking forward to next week at Duke.
Anything you're particularly proud of from what the defense did today?
We just did what we said we were going to do all week. We practiced. We said we're going to keep off the scoreboard. We didn't do exactly that. We still got more work to do, but we held them for a very long time. We got a lot of negative plays. We're going to take what we did today, obviously, and learn from it and add it for next week for Duke.
Is it refreshing out there just watching the offense score almost every time they have the ball? What did that feel like?
It felt great, and I tried to do a good job of whenever they did score, go over and talking to those guys like Wes and Val and Chase. We play D-line, they play O-line. Just letting them know that we support them and we see the work that they put in every day. And we all saw what they did today. So I just wanted to make sure we went over there and congratulated those guys, kept their heads high even when they didn't score, even if it was a turnover. You know what I'm saying? So we just wanted to make sure those guys are appreciated always, and we're happy that they put up as many points as they did today. That's great.
Does the margin of victory matter to you as far as how much you win by, just because it I don't know, just everybody got involved like that you were talking about?
I mean, margin of victory, like it's whatever with us. As long as we get the win, that's all that matters. I mean, you obviously want to assert your dominance and show that you are a good football team at the FBS level. But as long as we get the win, man, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Everybody's happy. Everybody's joyous. The fans are happy. We want to give them a win for State of Connecticut, so that's great.
Jelani, new team, new season, obviously, but Duke beat you guys pretty good last year. What do you remember about it, and what did you take any extra motivation going down to Durham?
I mean, we're just gonna focus on right now winning this game, and then obviously we're gonna get into Duke tomorrow. Like Coach Mora was telling us at the end of the game today, it's been 12 years since we beat a Power 4, Power 5 team at their stadium. It's been 12 years, so we're gonna try and make a difference this next weekend. So.